In the blood-soaked annals of Roman imperial history, few stories capture the depths of human cruelty like that of Sporus, a beautiful young man whose fate became intertwined with one of history's most notorious emperors. This is not simply a tale of political intrigue, but a haunting examination of power's capacity to strip away humanity itself, leaving behind only the grotesque theater of imperial caprice. The year was 65 AD, and the Roman Empire stretched from Britain to the Euphrates under Nero's rule. Yet within the opulent walls of the Domus Aurea, a darkness festered that would soon consume an innocent young life. Rome bore the scars of the Great Fire of 64 AD, and whispers of the emperor's madness drifted through the streets like smoke from still smoldering ruins. Young Sporus lived as a freedman in the imperial household, a position that offered little protection from the whims of absolute power. Historical accounts describe him as possessing an ethereal beauty, with delicate features that would prove to be both his distinction and his doom. The catalyst for Sporus's tragic transformation came with the death of Poppaea Sabina, Nero's second wife, and the great love of his tumultuous life. She died under mysterious circumstances in 65 AD. The emperor's mourning took on an obsessive quality as he desperately sought ways to resurrect or replace the woman he claimed to love above all others. During this period of imperial grief, fate delivered Sporus into Nero's sight. The emperor was struck by what he perceived as an uncanny resemblance to his dead wife. Nero's grief-stricken mind began to conceive a plan so audacious and horrific that it would shock even the jaded sensibilities of imperial Rome. The decision was swift and irreversible. Nero commanded that Sporus be castrated, permanently altering the young man's body to serve the emperor's twisted vision. This was not merely physical mutilation, but complete erasure of Sporus's identity as a man. The emperor announced his intention to marry Sporus in a public ceremony, treating the traumatized young man as a substitute for his beloved Poppaea. Sporus was given a new name, Sabina, after the dead empress, and dressed in feminine clothing adorned with jewels that had once belonged to Poppaea. The imperial household was commanded to treat Sporus as the empress. The wedding ceremony was a spectacle of imperial madness, with all the pomp masking the fundamental horror of what was happening. The aftermath saw Sporus paraded through Rome as Nero's empress, forced to appear at public events in his feminine disguise. The psychological toll of being forced to live as someone else entirely, someone who was dead, and whose death may have been caused by the very man who now claimed to love her memory, must have been devastating beyond measure. The relationship between Nero and Sporus was characterized by possessive obsession and complete powerlessness. Nero treated Sporus as both beloved wife and precious possession, addressing him by his dead wife's name and expecting him to respond in character. This psychological torture, the constant demand to embody someone else's identity while his own was systematically erased, represented cruelty that went far beyond physical harm. Ancient sources provide glimpses into this forced relationship. Suetonius writes that Nero took Sporus on tours of Greece, displaying him to foreign dignitaries as his empress. The constant performance created a prison of identity from which there was no escape. As years passed, the strain was evident in every aspect of Sporus's daily life. He was required to wear feminine clothing at all times, speak in a manner deemed appropriate for an empress, and participate in activities that reinforced his assigned identity. The surgical mutilations served as a constant physical reminder of what had been taken from him. The political implications did not go unnoticed by the Roman Senate and broader aristocracy. The emperor's marriage to Sporus was seen as another sign of growing instability and contempt for Roman tradition. The spectacle became symbolic of the moral decay that had infected the highest levels of government. In 68 AD, the political situation collapsed. Facing universal rejection and certain death if captured, Nero fled Rome with Sporus. When Nero committed suicide in June 68 AD, Sporus was left to face an uncertain future as one of the most visible symbols of the fallen emperor's reign. Sporus was passed from one powerful figure to another during the year of the four emperors. Under Galba, then Otho, he remained in luxurious captivity, still required to maintain aspects of his feminine presentation. It was under Emperor Vitellius that Sporus's situation reached its final degradation. Vitellius planned to force him to appear in the arena in a grotesque reenactment of the rape of Persephone for public entertainment. This prospect of ultimate humiliation proved more than Sporus could bear. After years of forced feminization, identity erasure, and sexual exploitation, Sporus chose death rather than endure this final degradation, taking his own life before Vitellius could carry out his cruel plan. In his final act, Sporus reclaimed the one thing he had been denied, the power to make his own choice about his fate. Sporus's story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of power and human capacity for both cruelty and survival. His tragedy was symptomatic of a system that valued human beings only insofar as they could serve the desires of those who held ultimate authority. In remembering Sporus, we honor not only his suffering but also his ultimate act of defiance against those who sought to erase his humanity completely. His final choice, tragic as it was, represented a hard-won victory, a refusal to be completely broken even by forces that seemed capable of rewriting reality itself.